All right, guys, we are back here again. I always like to tell you where I find my guests. This one is the first one I've ever gotten off of TikTok Live. I've been a lot more aggressive on there lately, drawing a lot more traction, and I really like doing it because it's a nice little safe base and meeting a lot of cool people. And I met our next guest. I met her I think yesterday, and she's very sweet and kind, and she has her own story. And I always, like to try to give anybody a platform, give them a place where they can share their own story because we all need to be heard. So anyway, would you like to tell us your name and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Raven. I'm almost 23 years old. I'm a live-in babysitter, and I'm 6 months pregnant.
So you're adding to the
I
family.
have absolutely. I have a lot mentally not okay with me, due to years of trauma. But two of the biggest ones, two of the biggest disorders that I feel are often misunderstood and feared because they're misunderstood. Um, I have what they call borderline personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have a dissociative identity disorder, which is very uncommonly talked about. And a lot of people seem to think it's very scary. So anything I say about my disorders are purely my experience alone. Everybody experiences things differently. And I feel like that's important to note is that not everybody that has the same disorder experiences it the same.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, like that's what I said. Why I like being so vocal and being out there, because you never know who you're gonna come across someone's page, and then it's like, hey, I go through some shit too. What are you going through? Oh man, you got it hard too. And it's just like I said, there's so many people out here that are struggling. It's just not many people want to convey it to others. Um, so I was always it's
It
always
can be really scary to, come out about it. I know there's still a lot of people that I don't talk about my DID with because people are very judgmental and it's a very nasty world. And I'm the type of person, like, I have no room to judge you. So, whatever you tell me, that's between us. Like, whatever you do, I'm not going to judge you or make you feel poorly about it because everybody's got their own stuff going on, like you said.
yeah. Well, you see what I deal with, where it's like, hey, the eyes, what's up? It's like, man, what's up with you? Like, leave me alone. But it's like I'm secure enough now. I'm at a place where it doesn't bother me, but it's just annoying because it's like, man, I don't know how we got to a place where we're just comfortable with people just being ignorant to others. Like, it's just natural now. It's just the way we speak to each other.
I heard somebody say once, because you know the saying, ignorance is bliss.
Uh huh.
I heard someone say, ignorance is not bliss, it is a choice to be stupid and uneducated about a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, like, that is a hell of a way to put it. And I love that because it's true. Like, if you choose, it's a choice to be ignorant to something. If you don't want to educate yourself to help understand others better, then that's just your choice. But I think that it's a poor one.
Yeah. No, I mean, like for me, I live or just in person. If someone just comes up to me and is like, "Hey, hi, I'm curious. I just would like to know what this is about. Well, how do you deal with it?" I don't care. That's great because the more people that are educated, the more people that are well informed, great. That's good because that's one less person I have to, teach or train. One less person. Maybe they can take their knowledge and pass it on to some other person. But it's
Yeah, and help spread awareness of things that people might not, commonly be exposed to.
Yeah, well, and it's also like what I said in that live. Like, I do understand that a lot of people don't see people like me on there going, "Hey guys, life is great." I do get that. I do understand that, but at the same time, you still gotta have respect. Like, you can't just, there's a lot of the keyboard warriors who just stay behind their computers and phones, and they just come on and they feel like they can say anything to anybody. And
Exactly.
I don't think of it in the sense that they're doing it to me. I think of how many people have they done this to, and they shut down their live because of it. See, I can take it, but there was a point where I couldn't. So I think about that version of me and I go, man, how many, especially young people, but how many people that are trying to work through their demons and somebody comes on and goes, hey, what's wrong with your face? And then they cry and they shut down their live and they never go live again.
Because
That,
that's such a blunt and rude way to put it. Like, you could so easily respectfully ask somebody for their story and be like, "Hey, you seem like a really cool person. I'm interested in like what's your story?"
yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
and not just what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. But again, you're 23. You're young. Like the fact that you see that, and there's a lot of people that do it that aren't younger than you. That's the issue. That's where like I've had like kids do it. I had a 15-year-old do it the other day, and it's like he's 15. I don't entirely give him a pass, but I do because he's 15. He's dumb. He doesn't know anything. Like we were all stupid.
especially because children are what they're raised around mostly.
Right. Exactly.
Like the four that I take care of all have their own problems and we're all working through it. And I'm big on the gentle parenting thing, like gentle but stern.
Hmm.
And like they're not going to learn anything if you don't teach them the correct way.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah. And that's like I don't have kids, but I said if I have kids, I'm going to teach them core values. I'll teach them to be nice to everybody. But all the other stuff, let them work it out for themselves. If they want to believe in God, great. If they don't, great. If they
Exactly.
want to date men, they want to date women, whatever it is, they let them figure that on their own. That's up to them. It's their journey. I'm not beating things into them. I don't have ideologies. I choose not to vote because there's no one worth voting for right now. But if they want to be a stone cold Republican or Democrat, cool. That's their choice, not mine. You let your children live their life, but you teach them the core value. You teach them respect, and and so on. But so many kids, they beat their ideology, like they force their opinions and everything on them, and that's a lot of what. With a lot of those, shows that were showing off little girls who were going into like pageants, and it's like they're 6. Why are they in a pageant? Like they don't want to do that. You're forcing them in because you don't have a life, and you're not.
And
You're
a lot of those children grow up to be snotty and bratty people because their parents teach them like you have to win, you have to be competitive, and they get treated poorly if they don't do their best. It just irritates me so bad. Like, let a kid be a kid and grow up to experience who they are, not who you want them to be, but who they are.
Yeah, I mean, this may be controversial, but how a lot of parents are just like, "Hey, yeah, you want to be a different gender now." Like, do you know how many times I wanted to be a cloud or an animal or anything when I was a kid, but none of my family entertained it. Like, if you're 21 or you're of age, fine, do whatever. If that's how you feel, do it. But I'm sorry, kids shouldn't be having surgeries and ruining their bodies when they don't know anything. They have no experience in life. And a lot of times it's the parents who are pushing it on them in the first place. And it's like, man, let kids grow up. There's enough shit they have to worry about. When it comes
Well,
up.
it's interesting too because like I lost my birth mother when I was 11 years old. And then, so that was 5th grade. And then by the 6th grade, I went through an entire identity crisis. I mean, I chopped off all my hair. I dyed it electric blue. I wore nothing but boy clothes. And I've always been more of a masculine woman, I guess you could say, because,
Like a tomboy,
trauma
yeah.
makes you mold to whatever. And I had to be my own man and my own woman for a really long time.
Sure.
And, my grandma was like, I'll let you dress like this. I'll let you do this, but we're not doing any of like, don't think about surgeries, nothing, because you're in the 6th grade and that's going to change when you get older. And it did. Like, I'm comfortable being a cisgender female now. I am more gender fluid, but because of my DID, there's, which by the way, feel free to ask questions.
Sure.
Because I don't mind educating about it, but like because of my disorder, there's more masculine parts to me as well as female, and so I dress how I want to, and the most feminine thing I do is makeup, and I'll get my nails done or wear press-on nails. Occasionally I'll wear a skirt.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't even think about something like that. I just, like, for me personally, I don't want kids ruining their lives and then regretting it when they get older, because that's why so many of them end up ending their lives. And it's like, I just don't feel like you should let kids, you could let them be what they want. You could call them that and all that. It's another thing to actually get medical procedures and mutilate their body until like,
because it is most of the time irreversible.
yep,
And you'll make a leap and do something. That's why they tell you, because I have a friend that finally got to go through like most of his transition, and he's really used to be fun, very comfortable now as a grown man. But like they made him go through intense therapy and like make sure he really wanted this before they did it. Which
sure.
I commend them for that, because they're acknowledging that this is a life altering change, and you're gonna deal with so much criticizing and all of this just for living your life as the way you feel and you need to live it. And I'm just like, it's one of those things that people are letting 7 and 8-year-olds decide, and not letting them grow up and have a full, understanding of, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
This is what my life is going to become.
Sure. It's funny because like I didn't know we were gonna go here, but like my dad, like I get asked for advice all the time, but my dad called me up and was like, "Hey, I need some advice." I'm like, "Okay." I had no idea what he was gonna ask me. He said, "Look, my brother, his son wants to be a woman now. He's in his 20s." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "How should I go about it?" And I'm like, "Look, I'm giving you the perspective of a person, and a person with a disability, and someone who's been treated different. Though this is not it wasn't my choice. Nonetheless, I don't want to be treated any differently. I want to be treated as me, and I want my respect. I want to be accepted. And if you love somebody, love trumps anything else, or at least it should. So if you love this person, if I don't remember their name, but if they're a Daniel, now they're a Danielle, and you're gonna have to live with them. Like, you don't see this person very often anyway. But two, it's something you have to work on yourself. I mean, I get it. It's uncomfortable. It's weird. It's whatever you want to think it is. But if you love a person, you love them regardless. And if this is the decision they're making, they're choosing the hard way. They're choosing to have a harder life. So accept them. And no one's going to go through it more than they are. So just love them, accept them, and they'll end up loving you even more in the end.
Exactly, because it takes absolutely nothing to be supportive when you love somebody for who they are and not what they look like. And it doesn't change who that person is as a person. It just changes, their physical appearance, or maybe their voice will change a little bit, the way that they present, but that doesn't change who their soul is and who who you grew up to love or raised to love. Same person, they just have a different outer shell now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the problem is when someone is different, we don't celebrate it, for one. And I'm not just even going with the transgender stuff, just anything. If someone's different, we don't celebrate it. But two, when, like, we're always kind of trying to disassociate ourselves. Like, oh, they're so different, I can't fathom their lifestyle. But in the reality of it is, you also got to look at the differences. And like, the reason why I can relate to you or anybody else who's been on my podcast who has been through a different life experience is just because you have to have empathy for people. And you got to look at the similarities. There's plenty of similarities. It's just they're not in the places you would think. And, yeah, I don't have your disabilities, nor do you have mine. But, they have similarities. And like I said, I can relate with the transgender stuff because of my disability perspective. It's different, but at the same time, there is similarities. And I think so many people try to be like, I don't understand that life. It's so foreign to me. It's like, it is, but it isn't. There's a lot that you can relate to. You just don't want to.
Exactly. Nobody wants to see the bigger picture or have an open mind. They just want to immediately judge and attack people. And it's like, I know some absolutely amazing transgender people. I know people that have really, really altering disabilities, and they live perfectly happy lives, and they don't take anybody's shit. And I feel like when you're different compared to what society deems as normal, you learn to have that thick skin and that tougher outer shell. And not everybody does.
No.
But like, for me, because I have BPD and DID, like, I get scrutinized. Like, people are mean as shit to me sometimes. And I'm just like, you can say whatever you want, but nothing you say to me can hurt my feelings more than anything I've ever said to myself in my entire life. Like, I am so, I guess, not numb, but like, I don't care about the negative stuff. I don't like it and I don't want it around me. So I'm like, you're either going to love me or hate me, but you're going to respect me, kind of thing. You know, like, it's easy to bite your tongue with bad comments and don't say anything, or, you know, just be like, hey, I like your outfit today, and leave it at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, like I said, that's why I do all the things that I do, because I want I want to be one of those people that when you come around and the energy is like infectious and you're like, oh, this is just comfortable. This is relaxing. You could be yourself. You can feel like you're at home, because I didn't have that when I was a kid. I went through bullying. I got molested, and, you know, I went through all kind of shit. And then, of course, the disease that nearly killed me and all that. So I went through all that. I'd never had a childhood. Mine was stripped from me, and a lot of my innocence was beaten out of me. And so I always think of me as a kid going, how could I better that kid's life, even though it was me? And so I go, I got to give back. And I realize more and more, I'm getting a lot of young kids coming into my life, younger than you, like 15, I had an 11-year-old in. Like, people are just like, yeah, I can relate to your content. And it's like, as a 36-year-old, I'm like, God, shit, I didn't know the kids would even take to it, but it makes sense because I was an abused kid. So it just didn't make sense right off the bat.
Absolutely. Whenever you popped up on my For You page, I watched outside for a minute and I was just like, I just love the energy here. And I'm a very energy driven person.
Me too.
Like, if I think the energy's off, bye.
Yeah.
Like, but I just love the energy. And I sat in the chat for a while before I decided to say anything. And it was just such an inviting and warm presence. And I really, really admire the way you talk about, like I said, your story is so powerful. Like, not very many people would take that and make what you made out of it. You know, a lot of people would just be like, this is it, like, I'm screwed for the rest of my life. But to see you so positive and actively working on being more positive is beautiful to me. I love that. I love uplifting people that, you know, because you never know what kind of day somebody's having, or like the upbringing that they've had. And, you know, well, obviously I had rough ass upbringing, but I try not to think about it in the way that, like, oh, all of this stuff happened to me, you need to feel bad for me. I think of it as, I survived all of this, and I am the person I am because I chose to actively work against the bad and not let that mold me to a bad person. I have every reason to be a shitty ass person, let me tell you, but I'm not, because what does that gain me? What does being hateful do for me? It doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're talking, like, you're giving me more content, because a lot of these subjects. And by the way, I appreciate what you said. Thank you. But it's nah, man. You're 100% right. You and I, like, I have every reason to just be the scorn of the universe and be petty and bitter and angry and say, fuck the world. I want to just watch it burn, because I've been just violated over and over, and been, just left to fend for himself and just abused. And I should just be sitting here going, fuck the world. I want to watch it burn, but I don't. Like, I hate that. Like, I love nature. I love animals. And I have a love-hate relationship with people. But the people, like, when I meet great people, it makes me so happy. And it's like, I always have this conversation with my grandma, who's now 93. It's like, she's just like, I'm 93. I've been through this. I've been through that. I don't have to do anything. I'll run right through you with my shopping cart. And it's funny because she's 93. But at the same time, it's not, because it's like, Grandma, like, no, man, this is the problem. Every generation failed the next. And it's like, the reason why the kids are broken is because my generation failed them, and yours failed my mom's, and so on. And it's like, we have to be the change. We can't just say, oh, I'm not going to do this because no one else is. I don't give a shit if you're the one person in that store holding the door for people. Don't change just because no one else isn't, because it's like, we have enough people giving up on that. And it's like,
exactly. And my grandmother is the same way. She's almost 68, and she's had a rough life. I'll give her that. She really has. But I think her problem is that she's slipping into like dementia, and that makes older people kind of rude and explosive because she's changed so much over the years, and now she likes to act like her favorite line is, "I'm old. You should want to do things for me."
Okay, I've
And
heard
then
that.
when you actively do things for them, they don't appreciate it because you should just, like I took her out and bought her $300 worth of clothes that I didn't have to do, like
Sure.
I make sure that all of her meds were taken. And now that I don't live there because of, her abusive ass and all the stuff she did, like, now she calls me and now she wants me back. And I'm like, yeah, because now you're learning that you can't do a lot of things on your own. And so I try to go through her as much as I can and get done what she needs. But it's just a lot of people. And I've also heard that, like, over the age of 40, mental health doesn't exist because they're from that generation where it's like you just coped with it or it was taboo and nobody wanted to talk about it. My grandmother is fortunately the only person in my family directly that ever was there for me. Now, she's gotten to where she's an asshole about like my two biggest disorders because she wants to say that she doesn't believe that I went through all of the stuff I did because I never spoke up about it as a kid. But it's like I was traumatized into not saying anything, and it was easier not to bring it up, but to just go through it.
Yeah.
So that's a big argument that we always have, and I try to be more open with people nowadays because you never know. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people fear the reaction they're gonna get, and you just have to go in it head first, man. Whatever reactions you get is reactions, but it's how you react to that means everything at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, and I said this on the third live yesterday where I was just like, man, I'm starting to be a lot more goofier and silly, and I'm like, I realize I'm getting very, very comfortable even in front of people. Where I'm like, I don't care, and I may say something weird or sexual or whatever, and it's like, you take it however you want. I know that I mean well, and I'm just being silly, and I just stopped caring so much about other people's feelings because I know my intent is not to hurt anybody. So, I try to be, keep peace and all that, but there are people out in this world that haven't been through half the shit we've been through, and they're overly sensitive about everything, and I'm just like, I can't appease
Oh,
everybody.
absolutely. My oldest girl, she just turned 13, and my boss or my adopted mama, she came home. She works in traveling caregiving, so she's out taking care of older people and disabled people all day. And she came home one day, and my 13-year-old looked her in the face and said, "My day was harder than yours." And we're like, "Kid, all you had to do was go to school. Like, y'all don't pay bills and have all these responsibilities yet. Focus on being a kid." And I grew up kind of like she did in the sense that, like, I had to be the adult from, like, 10 years old. So I didn't get that, like, fun childhood. And, so sometimes I have interests that people deem more kid-like. And it's like, well, you can judge me for that, but this is something that I enjoy that I didn't get to enjoy whenever it was the right time, quote unquote, to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's like, and now, I'm pregnant, and I made a silly mistake with who the dad is, but, we all make mistakes. And, I'm going to raise my children to have a childhood. I want them to experience life to the fullest. That is what I want. And I want to be better than my parents were to me.
Sure. Yeah. And that's even if your parents are good or people in your life are good, they all have bad qualities they pass down on you too. And so you still have to break the chain. You got to break the cycle. Like, you got to be your own thing. You can still keep the qualities that were good that were instilled in you, but remove all the bad habits. There's so many in my family that I'm like, I find out later, like, especially certain people in my family that are like racist. And there's times I'll get a feeling, like a tingle of like just wanting to just think something awful. And I'm like, what the hell, where'd that come from? I'm like, oh, That's in my gene pool. Okay, I gotta remove
It's
that.
that generational curse, man.
Yeah.
I was raised so my mother, my birth mother, was the most accepting person in this world. Was she batshit crazy? Absolutely, and she was not a very good mom. But she raised me to not see things like color or race or situations. She just saw me. She raised me to just see a person for who they are, right? Like I said in the live,
Right.
I was homeless for a year and 6 months. I lived in a car with my dog. In the time of that span, I had my childhood dog pass away, and that wrecked my world. When I tell you, like I was not okay. So I went and I was like, well, hey, when I get a new animal, I'm gonna adopt an animal instead of dropping like $700 on this high end dog, why don't I give another dog the life that my dog had, one that never had it? And I ended up with Gunner, and he's at his grandma's right now, but he is the sweetest animal, and it shows that love can take even the most broken of people and things and make them flourish, and I love that so much because he wouldn't let anybody touch him when I first got him, and now he'll jump up in your lap and love on you all day.
Right. That's
And
awesome.
I think living in my car taught me that, like, sure, it wasn't an ideal situation, but I also learned through, I used to be a really bad addict. I abused marijuana, which I abused it for the sense that I didn't want anxiety and I just liked not thinking about things, right?
Yeah.
And then I also struggled really heavy with alcoholism for a while. And I am the youngest recovering addict in my family. And I learned that people who don't stick by you during that journey never deserve to be in your life, because the few people that were stuck with me and came to see me wherever it was that I parked for the night, those were my real people, because they didn't give a shit that I was living in a car and that I didn't always look or smell the best. They just saw me and wanted to be around me. And then the people that were supportive of me getting sober, and I'm almost 5 years clean and sober now. I don't,
Congratulations.
and I'm Thank you. And then, my self harm journey, I had to get through that. And also 5 years clean of cutting myself. So that was,
Congratulations
and it's
again.
hard because you have those days where it's like, I could really use a relapse right now. And
Sure.
it's just not worth it. You have to remind yourself what you busted your ass so hard for.
Yeah.
I moved 30 minutes out of town. Um, like almost 6 months ago, about 4 or 5 months ago, I moved away from everything to have this job and to get away from just the reminders of the bad. And I'm doing so much better now being away from it. I
Awesome.
struggle because, the people that raised me both passed away. But I go visit their graves when I can, and my dog is buried right next to them because Seamus deserved to be with, Mama and Papa. And so, like, I think it's all just a learning experience. And I've always said that you have to know struggle before you can know paradise, because you will not appreciate paradise as much unless you have drug yourself out of the damn trenches a million times. You know,
Yeah. That's what I was
because you'll
saying.
appreciate once you get to the top.
Yeah, I was saying that last night on the third live where I was just like, man, there are so many people out here who are winning at life and they have no idea that they're winning because they've never lost anything. It's like my best friend is dead. I lost most of my sight. I've lost money. I've lost countless people. Like, if you don't know what it's like to lose, if you've never just been in such a dark place where you're ready to kill yourself, maybe you attempted, or you just even feeling like I'm done. Like, if you've never lost anything, then you have no idea what it's like to win. That's why, like, I'm looking at my life now and saying I'm winning. It's not because I won the lottery yesterday. It's not because I fell in love or any of the things that I'm really like I would like to have happen. It's just because I actually appreciate everything that has happened and I really accept just how life is now. And I go, my God, like, I stopped looking at it like, man, I could always have more. It's like, yeah, I could, but I also know I could have way worse. I could be, I nearly died as a child. So it took me 32 years to realize, shit, I shouldn't be here anymore, but I am. So let's be appreciative.
Exactly. It's just appreciating the blessings that you do have, like, and people are always quick, like people that have always had everything handed to them. I'm like, I don't understand why you're so happy. Because you have to learn to be. It's an adapt. It's you adapt to, like, okay, this is what life is now. So now I will strive to make the best of it. Maybe today I'm exhausted, but it's still going to be an amazing day because I believe that it's an amazing day, and I don't care. Like, I have depression really bad. Sometimes it's a victory just to get me out of bed.
Yep.
But I celebrate every small victory because you don't just celebrate graduating high school. A lot of people need to just celebrate getting out of bed every day. Like, it's the small things that add up to the big things. And people that have never had to know what it's like to struggle for a place to live, or struggle with their bills, or almost die, or people that have died and been revived, like, they don't understand it because they've never had to deal with it. They've just always been safe and secure and had that stability. And they've never had to work for it. And that is the type of person that drives me nuts.
Oh,
like I look at, like, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and I'm like, y'all irritate me, because if you didn't have all that money, you wouldn't know what the hell to do with yourself,
Yeah, possibly. I mean, yeah. I mean, I see it all the time. It's just people don't understand. Like I said, I get it, the pity thing all the time. It's like, oh, I'm sorry for what happened to you, and it's like, I get it. I appreciate it. Thank you. But at the same time, like, do I seem sad? Because I'm fine. Like, yeah, it may seem like a death sentence for you to be like, man, you lose most of your sight and all. It's like, yeah, it sucks. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it, but at the same time, I'm winning. I'm doing great. So you don't got to worry about me, because I may be living a better life than you. It just, you may not think it because your mindset is so small. Like, you can only think so far. But I'm telling you, like, the reason why I do half the things I do is because I want you to know you could be abused, you could have disabilities, and you can still have a good life. It's just, you don't see many people saying that, but it's the truth. And, money or not, like I always say, like, even right now, there's still a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things to figure out. But because I've seen some really awful places in life, I've been in some really dark headspaces, and I realized, like, that version of me could never handle what is going on right now. But now I'm handling it like it's nothing. And it's not to sound, cute. It's just the truth. Like, I'm not sitting here panicking and stressing about everything that I haven't fixed yet, because it'll get fixed.
Exactly. And I do want to tell you, like, you just in the 2 days that I've known you have changed my perspective on a lot of things. Like, one of my biggest fears in life, because I have really bad eyesight. I'm at, like, a negative 650, and my eye doctor told me when I was 14 that I had the worst eyesight he's ever seen in somebody my age. And, like, obviously that comes with, like, genetics. Not everybody's eyes are going to be 20/20 their whole life.
Sure.
But, like, my biggest fear has always been going blind. And so to see you, like, being partial, and just so positive and living, like, so wonderfully gives me hope, because it's like, okay, maybe it wouldn't be the end of the world. Maybe I don't need to be so hard on myself because I struggle to see sometimes, like.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I bet your sight is a guarantee better than mine. And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad, but it's, again, it really does come down to perspective. And like I said earlier to you, like, or yesterday to you, like, it's not like I've been this way my whole life. Like, the last 3 months, I've done more healing than I've ever done in my whole life. The last couple of years, I've really been finding myself, but the last 3 months is where I've really been like, I genuinely love my life. And it's not like it's so crazy. It's just, no, man, I live on my own. I have my independence, which is very hard to do as a person with a disability. I work, I take care of myself. I have money. My health relatively is good, minus the allergies right now. Um, and it's like, what do I have to complain about? I just had a celebration with my 93-year-old grandma still around. You know, like, yeah, life is.
Exactly. You're doing things that a lot of people feel like they can't do and they have a disability. Like you're out there proving it's possible,
Yeah.
you know, to create a peaceful life for yourself. Like you got Bullet and you're making money and you're just chilling and you're building a beautiful online community of amazing people.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you're one of them.
Well, thank you.
But no, yeah, of course, everyone loves Bullet. But no, I mean, I was thinking it was like I have these weird like moments of like, oh shit, like I went to go visit my old job and their Center for Independent Living, so I was just hanging out there, you know, supporting them in one of their events, and I was like, I'll be back. I'm gonna go get lunch, and I just walked like 3 blocks, got a cheesesteak, sat down and ate, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is what independence feels like. This is like I can't do because I can't drive, but it just felt so freeing, and I've done it many times, but it was so freeing to just be like, yeah, I got the money in my account. I could just go walk to the store, sit down, eat some food, walk back, and join the event and get like it just felt freeing because I'm like, there's so many people that are afraid to even leave their house. And here I'm just out in the sun, enjoying it. Yeah, the sun kind of hurts my eyes a little bit, but I put on my fancy shades and I'm just going to a Jersey Mike's and eating a sub, and I'm like, okay, like this just feels good, and it's something small, but it feels good because I know how many people that are visually impaired or blind or just disabled or what have you, they wouldn't do this. They don't want to do this, and I don't want that for them. But yeah, no, I'm always very aware of being a good representative of the disability community because you know, look, there's shitty people in every community, including the disabled community, but I know there's a lot of people that have really poor mindsets, and I always say the disabled mindset. There's a lot of people that will say, I'm disabled and I can't do insert whatever. And I hate that. That eats at me so much because I used to feel that way when I was like a teenager. It's like, oh, I'm blind. I can't work. I can't own my own place. All the things that I said I couldn't do, I've done. And so and again, I haven't done anything. I mean, I've done a lot of crazy things, but not really. I'm just living a life that anyone else would like to live. I'm just doing it with, you know, my way is harder, and so be it. But I think so many people don't like to hear that. It's like, oh man, but then I have to do everything a different way. It's like, yeah, when you have a disability, you have no other choice. You just don't. There is no let's do it the able-bodied way. It's not gonna work. I've tried it. It does not work. And that's how you fail all the time because you compare yourself to people. Like if I compare myself to people with sight all the time and I go, man, I can't do that. Like, well, yeah, you're going to fail because you're doing it a sighted way. You're not doing it your way. So, and that's why it bothers me with like the content creators when they're always trying to tell people to go viral by doing this or do this and do that. It's like, but the first thing they should tell you before anything is be yourself. Be yourself, be authentic, and eventually it'll come. But if you continue to bullshit and try to act like other people, even if it does happen, you're not going to like yourself. So just be real. Like that stands out. That's not celebrated, but it should. Unfortunately. But yeah, man, I'm always aware of like what I say and what I do because I don't want people to get it misconstrued that like, hey, this is just some easy life. It's not. But it's also what you make of it. It could be a lot harder if you sit around and feel sorry for yourself.
It's once you get out of that mindset of what you can't do versus I can do this or I'm going to do this. That's why I got excited when you said when, not if, because you're setting that expectation. You're like, I deserve this. It's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen instead of, oh, if it happens, it happens kind of deal, you know, like you know that you deserve it and it's going to happen. And I love that. I love that mindset. And it's hard to get into. It really is.
For sure.
But once you do it, you are so unstoppable. My ex told me this quote that has stuck with me, and they said, nothing is impossible if you want it bad enough. And I live by that because if you truly want something, you can make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, like, and again, like like I said, I'm learning a lot even just doing those lives because I'm on the fly. Like sometimes I don't say it and sometimes I do, but it's just like when people come in and say stuff like, "Hey, what's wrong with your eyes?" Whatever. Like there always used to be some anxiety, some random feeling that I would get like, "Oh God, I feel weird. I need to like do something to distract them so they don't see." Put my glasses on. Like I did a video about like taking off my mask, my sunglasses, or the hat, because it's like I'm no longer hiding behind that. Like you want to see my scars, see my scars, because to me they make me more beautiful. So I don't really give a shit anymore if someone's like, "Oh, your eyes, it makes me uncomfortable." I don't care. Then turn off my live or change, flip. It takes half a second. And I'm noticing the more comfortable I get, like you said, being unstoppable. Like I feel like now I'm still not the most confident person in the world, but I do feel like I don't care anymore. Like it's really people's criticism doesn't mean anything. And I feel like I get less and less as I become more confident because it's like, what are you going to say to me? You can't come in a room or you can't be around me and be like, oh, that's blind TJ. No, you could try that, but it doesn't work because I'm not one of these people that sits around and goes, oh man, look at the poor blind guy. Like or I'm the poor mentally ill guy. Like you could try that, but there's like, I can talk about anything. I don't need to talk about mental health. I don't need to talk about disabilities. I could talk about anything. And so many people are just so one dimensional or they just have very little experience in life. And it's like, I've seen the good and the bad. And so I'm choosing to focus on the good because that's how I feel now. But like, I think where I know I've made so much progress is that I have uncertainty. I have things that I'm still worried about, but I'm still like, God's got the rest and I'll figure it out. And it's all going to work itself out. And that's
Exactly.
progress.
You don't allow people to condemn you, and you don't condemn yourself to a specific like stereotype or category, which I love that. And you say that your scars are your story and everything, and I think that our bodies are the most wonderful storytellers because every wrinkle, every scar, everything on our body tells it's a different point in our story, and it's just bodies are the most beautiful storyteller. And I feel like the more scars a person has, it just goes to show that they are so much stronger because of that. That is a sign of I overcame this, and now I get to remember that I overcame it every day.
Yeah.
I used to be really insecure about my self-harm scars or some of my abuse scars, but then I remember somebody told me one day because I used to freak out if anybody saw them, and somebody saw them one time, and I started bawling my eyes out. And they were like, "No, they're beautiful scars. They're pretty. They tell your story." And that changed my perspective a lot because it's like, why have I spent so many years trying to hide? Like you look at artists like Jelly Roll and stuff like that. Like he tells a story of his struggle through his music. It's just there's artists that do it. So I feel like people spend so much time being ashamed of their struggle instead of embracing it and using it as a learning experience for others as well. Educational.
Yeah, I love when people take their pain and just turn it into something positive because it's so hard to do, but it's such like a metamorphosis when you're able to, because again, I say this all the time, mental health is selfish. Like you don't want to help other people. All you want to do is sit around and feel sorry for yourself and worry and stress. But like, that's not who I am at my core. I really love people and I'm very affectionate, but when you're anxiety ridden or you're depressed, you don't want to help anybody. But if you're able to come out of that fog and then turn around and say, hey, I want to help those who were like me at one point, or people who are currently going through what I'm currently going through. Like, I want to help you. Like, that's a whole type of different power that not everyone possesses. And, but it's a beautiful thing.
Like, okay, so do you, I guess I'll preface it with a question because I don't want to just start talking about it and then you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay.
Do you know what dissociative identity disorder is?
No, go ahead. Explain it to me.
So, in lamest terms, it's multiple personality disorder.
Okay.
It used to be called that, but then we're called systems because it's develops through many years of intense trauma, especially in your youngest years, where your brain fragments into like you have what they call gatekeepers and protectors, trauma holders, and it basically is your brain's way of protecting you from maybe some serious trauma triggers or something, so you don't like crash out.
Right.
And a lot of people when they hear I have DID, they're like, "Oh my God, you're like that movie Split," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't just switch and kill people, you know."
Right.
Like, obviously it's Hollywood, so they have to have some aspects of it that are true, or they can't make a movie about a mental health disorder.
Right. Well, and
But
it's based on a comic too, so.
Yeah, and so like I've never personally watched the movie because I can't see something that is supposed to kind of like, I don't know. I've had so many people try to tell me they're afraid of me when I switch, and I'm like, everybody in here is chill, man. Like, we're all people, we're just chilling, we're having a good time, you know? Like, they do their jobs, they have their own relationships with people, and a lot of people don't understand is like, we're our own separate people, we just share a vessel, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, for instance, like I can be sitting on the couch watching TikTok, and then the next thing I know, maybe something triggered me to switch, and it's 3 hours later, and I'm in the middle of Walmart, and I don't know why I'm there or how I got there, but my keys are in my hand and I'm by myself. So in some point, you know, I took myself to the store, and it's very scary to have to adapt to like those situational moments. Because you're like, holy shit. And then you also have to hold yourself accountable, even if you don't recollect something, because you weren't present for it. Yeah. But, you know, and I've learned too that like your people will accept you for having something as spooky, quote unquote, as that. And there's a lot of people that don't come out about having the disorder because of how people treat it. And it's so interesting. And I've also learned throughout being friends with other systems is a lot of them are such toxic assholes, dude. Like, they use it as an excuse to be a terrible person, and I just can't fathom that. I'm like, you can't blame it on a disorder that you were given, like you developed because you're traumatized. That's not how that works. Yeah. If anything, like, you should want to be a better person and just, you know, I get it, it's hard to work through it and it's confusing because it's not every day that you wake up and you're like, oh, there's people walking around my brain, sure. You know? But it's an experience that occurs to protect you and give you a chance to live a good, fruitful life. And people abuse it, and it irritates the shit out of me, dude. I'm like, I don't even know. And then having borderline, it's like I can't regulate my emotions very well. It's also trauma developed where, like, you know, I was deprived of basic human needs as a child, and now, like, where somebody, like, a person without borderline gets angry, walks off, they cool off for 20 minutes, and then they're okay. They can revisit the situation, right? But for me, because I feel things so much more intensely, sometimes it'll take months before I can talk to you because I'll think about that and I'll just get angry again. And, you know, you have to learn to control it because there's no cure, there's no medicine, there's nothing they can really give you for it. You can go to therapy, but therapy doesn't fix it either all the time, you know? Like, it's right. It's not like it's a chemical imbalance like bipolar where they can give you a medication and stabilize your moods. It's like you have to learn your patterns. And, you know, I'm very young, so by no means do I have everything figured out, you know? But I feel like I've gotten at least a decent enough hold on it that I'm able to work a job. I work with kids. I have, you know, I have my chosen family that's supportive of me. They understand, hey, this is maybe not a good day for you. Let's see what we can do to like get your mind off of it. And I just feel like there needs to be more people that are understanding and willing to be educated than to just sit there and be like, oh, wow, you're weird. Like, bite me.
Yeah. Because it's okay to be wrong. It's okay not to know something. Like, again, I don't know what it's like to have those conditions, but, there's someone out there that does. Not just you, but like there's someone out there that maybe have listened to my podcast. I'm like, man, he's never had somebody on with that. And it's like, well, now I have. And hopefully it makes people just think a little differently, because you just don't know. Because like I said, I only know what I know. I only, experience what I've experienced. And, but that doesn't mean it's not real. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Yeah. And I've seen it in the blind community too, or any disability, where it's just, they play victim too much, and they use it as a crutch, where it's just like, oh yeah, this happened to me, so I'm gonna be a dick. And it's like, no.
Exactly. It's just like, you should strive to do better than the people that have done things to you. Like, I think the most respectable thing, my husband, he doesn't struggle with borderline personality disorder. He's also a system, but he doesn't understand borderline. So whenever we went through some intense ass relationship problems because of it. But he decided to like join support groups on Facebook and do research so he can better understand how to support and be there for me when I'm having low days. And to me, that is the most wonderful thing that a person can do. Like, don't be afraid to join support groups and learn maybe how you can better support the people in your life that you don't fully understand. And I've always said, like, you cannot understand something to the fullest unless you have experienced yourself.
Yeah.
And even then, people that experience it don't always understand it completely. And you can't make someone understand something that you don't fully understand.
Right. No, I love when people try to understand. Just take the effort to try. I get it. You're not going to really understand, but the fact that you're trying means a lot to me, because I know that you care
Like,
enough.
when you ask the respectful questions, or like my husband, you go and join support groups and you read about it and you learn about it. And, you're like, hey, because there's days where, like, I'm not having a good day, and he'll be like, is my presence okay? Or would you like me to leave you alone? And, obviously he's my husband. He's my calm person. I always want him around, but sometimes I just need him to sit there and be quiet, and we can just exist together until I feel better. And that, I feel like, builds stronger relationships, when you can ask, hey, what do you need me to do, or what would you like me to do, instead of just assuming, And when, like you said, how you don't answer questions if they come at you disrespectful, neither do I. If you ask me a question and I think it's offensive or like disrespectful, I'll look at you and be like, why don't you try again? And then maybe I'll answer it. But I don't owe it to anybody. Nobody owes anybody an explanation. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not.
It's so easy to be respectful.
Yeah, no, it's much easier to see that though once you start to really accept yourself. Because for a while, I always tried to just, bend to anyone's whim. Like, I didn't want them to see how a mess I was or how insecure I was. I wanted them to just be like, sure, like, just like me. I don't care, like me. But the older I've gotten, I'm like, I really don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, I have a lot of people in my life that love me. I don't care if I ever get another friend. Obviously, it would be great, but I don't care, because I've earned my spot. I've done everything I need to do up to this point, and I don't have anything to prove to anyone. And I used to say that stuff, but now I actually am living it. And
exactly. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Right.
Good people, genuine people will always, I can have 2 or 3 good people and be completely content, instead of having 300 terrible people or fake people. I don't like that fake ass energy. Like, I need to know that, like, if you call me and you're upset and I come to you, I need to know that you would do the same thing for me.
Yeah. I have trust issues, so I get it. Like, I I just don't let anybody in anymore. Like I'm a very open person, but if you want to get close to me, it's like I really like I need to know I can rely on you. And I don't have to rely on you all the time because I don't ask for a lot, but I try to, I give everybody their freedom but I give everybody an equal chance. But if somebody does something stupid, I can't keep you close anymore because you're not good for me. Like my peace and mental health is everything. And if you don't respect those boundaries, then you don't respect me. So then what are we doing here? Yeah,
Exactly.
I realized that. Like I've always tried to force things into my life, like especially with like dating relationships. Like I've tried to just force myself with people that don't really, whether they don't like me or I'm not into them, they're not good for me, whatever. I've just kept, that was my drug. I never did drugs. I never drank. It was like, hey, sex, or try, because I wanted to fall in love and be happy so bad. I was just like, oh, somebody will love me, and then it's like you lay next to them and you're like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And then I start hating myself and I start beating myself up, and I had to take a stand because I just kept allowing people access to me because I didn't value myself. So I was like, okay, how do I change this? Because I have to love myself. Okay, now that I do, let's analyze all those past relationships. Not all, but most of them. Let's analyze them and go, was that good for you? Oh, that was bad. That was a dumb choice. And again, does it mean that I deserve to be cheated on or anything like that? No, but you have to take accountability for your actions and the things that you caused. And I gave free access to many people who didn't deserve me, and that's on me. I still
Exactly.
I have the key to the lock. So like when I let people in my apartment, I'm the one that, you know, moved the lock over and they came in. They couldn't get in otherwise. So that's on me. I gave them the directions to my apartment, so that's on me. So again, that doesn't mean you're at fault for everything, but you are accountable for a lot of things. And
And a
we,
lot of people don't want to take that accountability. Like I said in the beginning, I'm pregnant and I maybe didn't make the best choice in my baby daddy, right? I've known this man since I was 16 years old, and I always had like feelings towards him, and he reciprocated them, but we could never quite get there, right? And then in 7 years of knowing this man, we sleep together one time, I end up pregnant, and he is a completely different person.
mm-hmm,
Like, he's cold, and he told me that he's angry that like we're having a child, and I'm like, first of all, I told you that you don't have anything to do with this baby. I just felt as the father you had the right to know that you were going to have a child out there. And he came to see me once, and he wanted nothing to do with like feeling the baby kick, and he just stayed really cold, but he wanted to have sex again. And I was like, absolutely not. You don't get to sit there and treat me like I'm the villain when you helped make this child. Yeah, it was an accident, but this baby's not going to be treated like an accident. And I'm not going to let you sit there and touch me like that when you've got this attitude. No, sir.
right, absolutely. Now, can I ask, like the your other kids, are they adopted or are they yours? Like I don't know how this whole
So
landscape works.
my boss is raising her grandkids.
Okay.
So when she brought me here, it was because she works so much, and her husband can't stay here right now because he had a little bit of a run-in with drugs, and you know, she doesn't want him around the kids until everything's said and done, and he's clean for a really long time, proves that he can stay off of it.
Makes sense.
And they have visits with their biological mother. Well, three of them do. One of them wants nothing to do with his biological mother. And his father can't see him because of some accusations or whatever happened. But like when I came in here, because the other babysitter was a fucking lunatic. When I tell you this man tried to break into the fucking house while I was here alone with my 4-year-old, absolutely not. So we are in the process of getting all the proper things set in place so he can't be around. Like, he's not allowed around the kids anymore unless it's supervised, and he's not allowed on the property unless my boss is home. But these kiddos like all have come to me and told me like you're my mom. Like I see you as my mom, and I'm sitting here like there's only 10 years difference in our ages, you know. And the fact that I'm 23 years old and these kids look at me like I'm the best thing since sliced bread, like that makes me happy because I'm giving children something that they didn't get, you know,
Yeah.
until now. And, you know, they're little turds. Like, they fight all the time. And, you know, my 4-year-old doesn't like to listen. But, you know, it takes time and growing and teaching them better habits. And I'm getting them to the point where, like, they're a little bit more respectful now than they used to be. But this will be, I've had 3 miscarriages in the past. I had one when I was 17 and one when I was 18, and then I had one about a month and a half to 2 months before I conceived this one. And so, like, this is the farthest I've ever gotten into carrying, and I'm stressed out and terrified about the birth process and all that good shit, but I'm leaving it to a higher power to just, you know, get me through it, right? Like,
Right.
it's going to be fine. It's my first kid. It's not ideal to have one this young, but I've been doing it with these 4. I can do it with another one, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I had a
And
feeling they weren't all yours.
yeah, and
Biologically, anyway.
I don't need this man. I've got enough support to raise my child by myself, and if he decides that he wants anything to do with it, well, I'm not going to keep you from your kid. But you're not going to poison your kid against me either because I didn't do anything and I didn't poison you against them, you know?
Sure.
I don't like that. I don't like when parents do that, where they like split up and then poison the child against the other. Like, I think that's awful.
Yeah. No.
That child should be able to love both parents. Just because you two don't like each other doesn't mean you can't act right and groan for 10 minutes.
Absolutely. I guess we could wrap it up, right? We've talked about most things. I think we
Yeah.
did pretty good. I mean, don't hang up. We'll finish off the recording. But you want to promote your podcast? I mean, your podcast. Jesus, your TikTok.
Oh, sure. Follow me on TikTok at Cynical Raven. I do makeup and mental health. I do lives where I talk a bit about my disorder from my experience. And remember, it's very important that everybody experiences them differently. So not every 2 systems are the same, and not every borderline is the same. I'm only ever speaking from my perspective and my experience, and I am not a medical professional. So do not hold me to everything I say is the truth because it is all completely different for everybody. And please, if you don't follow this man, you need to follow him on TikTok as well because his lives are fucking amazing. The energy is awesome, and he's just the sweetest, most down-to-earth person. And I am so lucky to have him as a friend now.
Yes, and I always say this, but I would have said this off air, but seriously, if you need someone to talk to, you need a friend, please message me anytime.
I appreciate you so much.
And yeah.
Same goes.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll end the podcast, and her and I will finish talking. See you guys later.